Law. Maxine Doogan here. She flew in from San Francisco to be with us today. Maxine Doogan founded the Erotic Service Providers Union in 2004. It's one of the few unions around specifically to represent sex workers. Its membership includes exotic dancers, porn stars, and prostitutes. The mission of the ESPU is to help bring actual sex workers' voices to the debate on their own rights. Ms. Doogan was also the proponent of Proposition K, a San Francisco ballot referendum this past election cycle in San Francisco, which would have prohibited the city from enforcing laws against prostitutes and brought equal protection under the law to sex workers. It did not receive the majority of votes required to become law, but did receive 41% of the vote, which was a great accomplishment. Maxine has given me permission to state that she, in fact, is a working prostitute and has been working in the industry for the past 20 years. Maxine.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maxine Doogan, and I want to say a special welcome to anybody in the room who might be currently working in the sex industry in some form, but not have the ability or the privilege right now to identify as such for, any kind of reason. So I just want to say a special hello to you. I founded the Erotic Service Providers Union in 2004 because I felt there was a real need to change the sex worker debate into a labor debate, into a labor organization, and to bring actual worker voices to the center of advocating for our own rights. So an erotic service provider is anybody who earns a living from their erotic labor. So you can be a prostitute, an exotic dancer, a phone sex operator, porn star, pro-dom, pro-submissive, and webcam performers are some of the fastest growing part of the sex industry right now. And I have been working as a prostitute for 20 years, and hopefully I'll get to work for another 20 more. The Erotic Service Providers Union also includes support staff, our support staff, people who are photographers, people who are janitors, our drivers, our phone dispatchers, our housekeepers. We have the right to be hired to work in those capacities. We have the right to hire each other. We felt it was important to include our support staff in our union because we have a common economy that matters to us. And oftentimes what we see are the bosses trying to pit workers against each other in trying to shut us down. So, we think that we want to see an organizing that goes along the lines of what's called industrial organizing as opposed to trade union organizing. And this is so that we can bring the broadest amount of rights to the largest group of people. Because oftentimes you'll see individual cases being litigated on behalf of dancers. I'll talk a little bit about that. So we want to do the most amount for the most people. We also have an auxiliary at the Erotic Service Providers Union. If you're an ex-worker, or you're a family member of a worker, or you have a friend who's a worker, or you just want to be a supporter of the, bringing actual workers' voice to the center of our own, debate here, you're welcome to become a member. You can see our website online. I want to tell you a little bit about some of the findings that led up to writing Proposition K. It's a local San Francisco ballot measure that was put before the voters for 2008. We stood on the street corners for 5 months collecting over 12,000 signatures. It was our second time attempting to qualify that ballot. We started in 2006 and were able to qualify in 2008. Let's see. So currently, right now in California, prostitution is criminalized under California Criminal Code 647B. It says that you cannot receive compensation for a lewd act, sex. So, just to say that, Nevada is one of the few places, rural counties in Nevada, where you can have legal prostitution, and also Rhode Island over here. Congratulations, Rhode Island. I was going to show you a little film at this point. It was a film that was of the San Francisco Police Department members had made of themselves. They made some parody little short films of themselves on their job, running over homeless people, making fun of transgender people. The specific film I wanted to show you showed the police officers sitting in their cop cars in their uniforms, reading the back pages of those free weekly magazines and reading the Asian massage parlor ads. And then it shows them going to that Asian massage parlor. So they use that footage as a means to entertain themselves for their Christmas party. And you know, what's problematic about this is that the San Francisco Police Department targets those massage parlor workers in management in numerous sting operations, which results in loss of economic independence for those workers. So here we have one group of workers who are collectively bargaining for their jobs, right? Their benefits. And they are putting another group of workers out of work, and then they're making fun of it for themselves for the Christmas party. So, you know, this is an example of how the San Francisco Police Department, you know, uses massage parlor workers and takes away, you know, our human dignity, our freedom of choice, and our labor rights. But the San Francisco Police Department enforces the anti-prostitution laws also against private in-call workers, out-call workers, and street-based workers, but they do not enforce the anti-prostitution laws inside the dance clubs in San Francisco. This arbitrary enforcement of the anti-prostitution laws by the police and the district attorney has resulted in trafficking the workforce inside the dance clubs. This form of state-sanctioned prostitution forces dancers and prostitutes to work side by side. All are subjected to pay daily mandatory illegal stage fees. These stage fees range from $120 a shift in the low-end clubs to $500 per shift in the high-end clubs per night. Many cases of coerced acts of prostitution takes place in the private booths inside the dance clubs. These private booths are provided by the management to ensure that the workers have the means upon which to get enough money to pay the illegal stage fees at the end of the night. Millions of dollars in class action lawsuits have been filed against the dance club workers, and they've won. The dancers have all won all their back wages and all the illegal stage fees that they have paid in. Basically, the lawsuits are on the basis that the workers are being misclassified as independent contractors when they're really employees. And a lot of it has to do with illegal tip sharing. So last year, the Mitchell Brothers O'Farrell Theater, the one that charges the $500 per shift to work there at the end of the night, had to pay out $1.45 million to 230 dancers. And the lawyers got $2.2 million for litigating the case for 5 years. So you're in the right, you're in the right job. But the owner took 5 years to litigate that case. He took it to trial because he didn't want to pay out on another class action lawsuit because he had already been sued and lost once before. You can find all these gory details on our website under the dancer page. Arbitrary enforcement of the prostitution laws in combination with the arbitrary enforcement of the labor laws has created a situation where dance club workers find themselves challenged to come up with the illegal stage fees at the end of the night and are offered to exchange sex acts with the management in lieu of paying their illegal stage fee to come back to work, for the right to come back to work for the next day. One worker gave the district attorney a 2.5-hour taped statement about her work conditions on her job. The district attorney declined to investigate, and instead that dance club owner got to open up a brand new dance club. Meanwhile, consensually working prostitutes are victims of crimes. Who are victims of crimes, we aren't empowered, to go to the police and report crimes against us. Because, why? Because they're going to want to investigate us for prostitution. They're not going to want to investigate us for, being victims of rape, robbery, theft, and coercion. So Proposition K mandated vigorous enforcement of rape, robbery, theft, coercion, fraud, and extortion, regardless of the victim's occupation as a sex worker. So that was good, yeah. Proposition K called for stopping the allocation of resources for investigating, prostitutes for prostitution. It called for stopping funding the diversion program, whereby arrested workers and clients are subjected to shame-based, sex-negative, victim-perpetrator re-education programs. The fees that we are mandated to pay for the right to not be prosecuted are split between the DA, the police, and the nonprofit. And we call that profiting off the criminalization of prostitution. That's a bad thing, by the way. We also called for the discontinuing practice of receiving state and federal grant monies, which are used to racially profile workers for prostitution arrests under the guise of rescuing them for traffic victims. A statement made by the head of Vice, Lieutenant Mary Petrie, said that she treats everyone as a trafficker. But nobody has been prosecuted as a trafficker, as it turns out. Nobody's been rescued. People are prosecuted for being prostitutes. And if you don't have any documentation, you get deported. And this practice is it's opposite to what our San Francisco city policy of having a sanctuary city. We have sanctuary city status in San Francisco. We don't want to see people deported. We think that's a bad thing. So we did get 41% of the vote, but what we got is we got a lot of the people who are recently voted into office's support, and that's even better almost in some ways. The people that voted against the measure wanted legalization instead of decriminalization because they saw that the industry needs some controls, and they cited the Nevada legalized model as the means to achieve what we were calling for, equal protection. The Nevada brothel legalized laws favor the counties and the brothel owners over the workers. So Nevada laws limit the workers' visibility and mobility through local regulations. Workers are subjected to arbitrary fines. They have no access to grievance processes. They don't have access to any form of redress when it comes to, making a grievance and then getting some sort of guarantee that they're not going to be retaliated against and fired. And they don't have any equal protection on their job and being exposed to drugs and violence. So, we as the sex industry workers, a lot of us pay taxes. We file and we pay taxes. But, we see that paying first-class taxes hasn't really brought several groups equal protection on enfranchisement under the law. I'm specifically thinking about the GBLT community in California that recently had their marriage equality rights taken away through mob rule in Proposition 8. So this is a group of people who are paying first-class taxes who are not being enfranchised, right? So this whole idea of, taxing and regulating us as a means to enfranchise us isn't going to work on us, right? Yeah. We see Black Americans, who 100 years after the Civil War had to wait for the Civil Rights Act to be passed, right? To be able to guarantee that they were not going to be discriminated against in housing, education, and voting. So, we as a group of workers, don't want to be forced into participating into a financial system, that promotes violence against us, right? So that's a problem. So, I was going to end by showing you a short video that I made. It's a rhetorical video. You can go see it on my Facebook if you want. It's called Who's the Boss? And it asks the question, who is the boss of the prostitutes? Because we always are talking, people are wanting to know, well, where's your pimp? And under California state law, pimp is defined as anybody who derives any sort of support or earnings from a prostitute. Well, that would include all my 3 children. Right? The landlord is my pimp. The dry cleaner is my pimp. My dog is my pimp. So it's kind of a rhetorical question, but really the honest answer is here at the end of the day, it's the voters. The voters have total control over our ability to negotiate for our labor and our work conditions under the criminalization and the legalization of the prostitution laws. And that's why we brought Prop K. Because we want to, that was our negotiation contract, because we're locked out. We don't have the right to negotiate for our labor or our work conditions. Our free speech is criminalized under the criminalization of prostitution laws. So, anyway, you can go online and look at our website. It's espu-ca.org. And I want to encourage all you fabulous lawyers to come out and help us get on to the next our next project. Thanks.